There is a conversation that happens in certain households that never happens in schools, not because it is secret, not because it is complicated, but because the school system was not designed to produce wealthy people. It was designed to produce reliable employees, and reliable employees need to know algebra and history and how to follow a schedule. They do not need to know how money actually works. That would make them harder to manage. This is not a conspiracy, it is just an outcome. And the outcome is that most people arrive at adulthood knowing how to solve for X and having no idea what an asset is, what a liability is, why the difference between the two determines almost everything about how your financial life goes. The conversation that happens in wealthy households starts early, and it sounds less like a lesson and more like the way things are just explained when they come up naturally. The first thing wealthy parents teach is that there are two kinds of money: money you work for, and money that works for you. Most people spend their entire lives only ever knowing the first kind. You show up, you perform a task, you receive payment, you spend the payment, you show up again. This is not wrong. This is just one gear. And a car that only has one gear can move, but it cannot go very fast, and it cannot go very far without burning out the engine. Money that works for you is different. You own something, a share of a business, a piece of property, a bond, a royalty, and that thing generates income while you sleep, while you eat, while you are doing something else entirely. The wealthy do not think of this as a bonus or a luxury. They think of it as the point. The job, if they have one, is temporary scaffolding. The assets are the building. Most schools teach children to optimize for the scaffolding. Wealthy parents teach children to start building the actual structure as early as possible. The second thing wealthy parents teach is the difference between an asset and a liability. This sounds technical. It is not. An asset puts money into your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. That is it. That is the whole definition in practical terms. A house you live in is a liability. It costs you mortgage payments, maintenance, insurance, property tax. Every month, it takes money out of your pocket. Most people are told their house is their biggest asset. This is one of the most expensive misunderstandings in personal finance. A house you rent to someone else while your costs are covered, that is an asset. It puts money in your pocket. A car is a liability. It depreciates the moment you drive it off the lot, and it costs you insurance and fuel and maintenance every single month. A stock that pays a dividend is an asset. It puts money in your pocket without requiring your time. Wealthy parents teach their children to ask one question about every financial decision they make. Does this put money in my pocket or take money out? And they teach them that the goal, the actual measurable goal, is to accumulate enough assets that the income from those assets covers your liabilities and eventually covers your life. That is financial freedom in one sentence. Not a number, not a feeling, a ratio. When your assets produce more than your liabilities cost, you are free. Everything else is just closing the gap. The third thing wealthy parents teach is that your income is not your wealth. This one is the hardest for most people to internalize because the entire visible world tells you otherwise. High salary equals success. Promotion equals progress. Raise equals arrival. Wealthy parents know that salary is a trap if you let it be, not because earning more is bad, earning more is good, but because the trap is lifestyle inflation. Every time your income goes up, the pressure to spend more goes up with it. Bigger apartment, better car, nicer restaurants, keeping up with the version of yourself that earns more now. This is so normal, it is practically invisible. The wealthy teach their children to treat raises like they did not happen, to keep living on the previous income and route the difference into assets, to let the gap between what you earn and what you spend be the engine of your freedom rather than the evidence of your success. Salary is a river. Wealth is a lake. You can have a very strong river flowing into a very small lake if the lake has too many holes in it. The holes are called lifestyle. The wealthy patch the holes first, then they worry about the flow. The fourth thing wealthy parents teach is that time is a financial instrument, not metaphorically, mathematically. A dollar invested at 25 is worth more than a dollar invested at 35, not slightly more, dramatically more, because of compounding. Because the returns generate their own returns, which generate their own returns, which after enough decades produce numbers that seem impossible until you run them yourself. A 25-year-old who puts away $200 a month and never increases it will have more at 65 than a 35-year-old who puts away $400 a month for the same period. The 25-year-old invested less money in total and ended with more. The only variable that changed was time. Wealthy parents understand this instinctively because they learned it early enough to use it. Most people learn it at 45 when they can still act on it, but the most powerful decades of compounding are already behind them. This is not a failure, it is just expensive. And it was almost entirely preventable with one conversation at the right time. The fifth thing wealthy parents teach is how to read a financial statement, not because they want their children to become accountants, but because a financial statement is the language that assets speak. And if you cannot read that language, you are making decisions about things you cannot actually understand. A company's revenue tells you how much it earns. Its profit tells you how much it keeps. Its debt tells you what it owes. Its cash flow tells you whether it can survive a hard year. These four numbers tell you more about whether a business is worth owning than any headline, any hot take, any analyst recommendation. Most people buy stocks the way they buy lottery tickets, based on a feeling, a tip, a name they recognize. Wealthy parents teach their children to buy ownership in businesses the way you would buy the business itself. Would you buy this bakery if you could? Do you understand what it sells, who it sells to, whether it makes money, whether it has debt it can handle? If yes, buy a share. If you cannot answer those questions, do not. The sixth thing wealthy parents teach is the most important and the least discussed. Your relationship with money is inherited. Not the money itself, the relationship. The anxiety or the ease. The scarcity mindset or the abundance mindset. The belief that wealth is for other people or the belief that wealth is a learnable outcome available to anyone willing to think clearly and act patiently. Children who grow up watching their parents panic about bills absorb that panic as a baseline. Children who grow up watching their parents make calm, deliberate financial decisions absorb that calm as a baseline. Neither group chose their starting point. But both groups can choose to examine it, understand it, and where necessary, rewrite it. The most valuable thing wealthy parents give their children is not a trust fund, it is a mental model, a way of seeing money as a tool rather than a source of anxiety, a way of thinking about financial decisions as learnable skills rather than innate gifts or dumb luck. You can give yourself that. It is not as fast as inheriting it, but it is available. And it starts with knowing that the conversation exists, that it is happening somewhere, and that you just had most of it. I want to be honest about something. Some of what I just told you will make you angry. Not at me, at the fact that nobody told you this at 16. At the fact that you spent years in classrooms learning things that had no bearing on how your financial life would actually go, while the actual rules of money were being quietly passed down in other rooms to other people. That anger is legitimate. Sit with it for a moment if you need to, and then let it go. Because anger at the past is a liability. It takes energy out of your pocket without putting anything back in, and you know what assets and liabilities are now. You are not behind. You are just starting with better information than you had yesterday, and that is the only thing that was ever actually available to anyone. The conversation starts now. You are already in it.